Hey guys, did you know at SEGA they have other things besides Sonic? Well, Jakks Pacific knows.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my review of the SEGA Wave 1 from Jakks Pacific. Yes, Jakks has been doing a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog. They've also done a lot of Nintendo properties like Mario and Zelda and stuff. But they have extended their licenseship with But they have extended their partnership with SEGA to now include a license for other SEGA properties, and this is sort of the test bed, like, experimentation if it's gonna work. And I think this is pretty cool, and I definitely am excited to take a look at these figures. So these three figures are Walmart exclusives in the US. It is kind of like an initial launch, try to see if there's the market for it. They're sort of testing things out, and there's one figure from three different SEGA franchises. They are all part of the same assortment, even though they have slightly different packaging. We can see the shape is overall the same. So these are different SEGA properties, some of which very well known, some of which kind of well known, some of which almost forgotten to time, and I think that's super cool. So let's take a look at the packaging. We're going to start with the Altered Beast Werewolf, just because he looks awesome. So these retail for about $9.99 US at Walmart. And before we even open them, you can see how the werewolf has like ball-jointed shoulders and butterfly joints and double-joint elbows, double-joint knees, ankle pivots. Like this thing's packed for your $10. This is pretty amazing. They are in the 5-inch scale line idea. But you can see werewolf, he comes with a spirit ball. The Altered Beast logo there, and you get the art of the werewolf from Altered Beast. On the back, I kind of like how they have this sort of fighting game training area, sort of grid pattern design, which I think is pretty cool. Here's another shot from the game. You can see werewolf, ball, 24 points of articulation. That's the thing that always impresses me about Jakks, is how they pull off the overall, like, you know, content amount in a figure for being something so inexpensive. But you can see here, the bubbles are quite large. We'll explain that in a moment, but you can see it is a little bit large, but that's kind of standard for Jakks. They kind of tend to put one packaging size for everything. Here's Axel from Streets of Rage. Nice shot of Axel there as well. Nice Streets of Rage logo up top. It's interesting there's no cross-sell to show that they are part of the same line. They are kind of individual in that way. There's a shot of him using the grand uppercut, so you get an effect part for that as well. And just like with the werewolf, he's got double joint knees, he's got double joint elbows. I'm really excited to looking forward and excited to look at that figure out of the package. And then AiAi from Super Monkey Ball, I think, is probably the most well-known character in this first wave, because Super Monkey Ball still gets games quite frequently. I think they have a new one coming out like soon, or it's already out. But Super Monkey Ball logo there. Shot of AiAi with some of the backgrounds of the stages. This one is pretty cool because he comes with the ball, so that is the reason why the packaging is so thick. So you can see they needed room for the ball, so therefore Axel and the werewolf are going to be, they're in the same assortment case, so they had the same size bubble. He's only got 8 points of articulation, but he comes with the ball, and he comes with a stand, so he should be able to stay centered in the ball, and he also comes with a banana. Once again, $10 action figure right here. So I'm super excited to take a look at these. We're going to take a look at each of them individually. We'll see what order I put them in, but this is very, very exciting, and I'm hoping that this leads to future things. If you'd like to see more videos like this, though, please hit the like button and the subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. That helps me know that you enjoy SEGA figures outside of Sonic, and check out my other Sonic videos after this video if you haven't already. But let's get into the Jakks SEGA Wave 1. All right, so we're starting with the werewolf from Altered Beast. If you don't recognize this guy, you might recognize him like this. Altered Beast was a 2D side-scroller. The whole idea behind the game is that you play as a human and you beat up enemies, and then eventually you get these little orbs, and after 3 of them, you turn into this werewolf, which is pretty cool. This is the spirit, what is it called? The spirit bomb? Spirit ball. This is the special orb. You collect them in the game, and when you get 3 of them, you can become the werewolf. So I think it's a perfect accessory. You can't really hold it. It's more just to kind of have it, but I like that it's got the spirit energy around the ball. It does have one of those little stand pegs that the Sonic accessories have. So if you wanted to plug it on one of those little stands that come with some of the Sonic playsets, you could. You can also drop it like I did. Now, coming back to the Werewolf, he's pretty impressive, especially considering he's a $10 USD figure. That is insane to me because of how many other figures in a similar style that are more expensive, smaller, and have way less going on. But this guy's just really impressive. First of all, he's got extra painted details. It's not just straight brown plastic. They did paint in the lines and the textures around the muscles, which I think is really cool. So you can kind of get some shading to him. You know, he is mostly brown, but they give him different shades of brown. Like you can see the torso's a different shade than the neck piece and the head. The head's really nicely painted too. You can see he's got his eyes blaring at you. The mouth on the inside is painted, plus the teeth. The head is a little squishy, so it's not really an articulating jaw, but it kind of moves a little bit. You can see his kind of shorts there. And his legs are a little bit plainer, I think, than the upper torso, but they still do the job, and the feet as well. Plus you got your foot pegs if you wanted them on a stand. Now the thing I found really cool is that the legs have that werewolf bend to them. So what you can do is when you articulate them, they bend backwards, right? It's a double jointed knee, so you can bend it up like that and bend it like this. And it gives you enough clearance for that little like back spike because they sculpted it in. But then when you bring it back down, if you wanted like normal leg proportions, you don't really get them because it is sculpted to come back to there. So you have that kind of werewolfy thing going on. So pretty neat. Articulation-wise, it's super impressive. He's got a ball-jointed neck, so it moves 360, of course. It can move up and down. It pivots. It actually tilts even, which is pretty cool, so you can kind of look at you all weird. His shoulders move up. They move backward. They don't move so much forward because of kind of like the large size of his pecs, but they can move backward, which is pretty awesome. Of course, they can 360. You get a bicep swivel. You get a double-jointed elbow. Once again, on a $10 action figure. It looks pretty good. It's not cut too weird. And then you got the wrists that pivot and then pivot in and out. So they rotate and then pivot. I said that backwards. You got the upper torso here, which is on a little swivel thing. The lower torso, I thought maybe had a swivel as well, but it doesn't. It's just kind of locked in. But considering this can kind of give you a little bit forward and back as well as a nice torso bend, it works. Hips move out, hips move forward, hips move back. You got a thigh swivel. Like I said, you got your double joint knee. Though I found that most times I end up not like engaging the second knee joint, but you can get even farther with that. And then the ankles are forward and back, left and right. And then they don't swivel here, which is good because I kind of don't like when there's a little bit of swivel there, but you get an in and out. So that means if you want this guy like crouched down, ready to punch something, because he kind of just punches and kicks, you can crouch him down pretty good. He looks super awkward that way. Like if you want to do that low kick thing that he does in the game, which is kind of like really helpful for the low enemies, you can totally like do that. And let's see, can we balance him like kicking? Because I'm kind of curious if he can balance because he's not super heavy, but he might be just too heavy to... There we go. You can do that. So if you wanted to kind of replicate his low kick, totally an option. Of course, you can have him throw punches. I'm just impressed that, again, $10 figure, pretty stable. Yeah, there he goes. Pretty stable standing on one foot like that. Impressive work indeed. So yeah, the werewolf, pretty dang awesome. All right, so here's Axel from Streets of Rage. Iconic character and pretty cool accessory as well. So just like with the werewolf, I'm impressed at the articulation level, but let's look at the detail. I think that what's cool about this line is it kind of emulates the style of each game more so than having like a unified look. This definitely looks a lot like the artwork for Axel. He's got kind of a goofy expression, but you know, he's a 90s beat 'em up character. Of course he's gonna look a little funky. He's got, you know, his short sleeve t-shirt. He's got his gloves, which are properly painted because they are fingerless. The belt's properly painted, the pants, the shoes. I think visually he is a little bit less interesting than the werewolf just because he is kind of just dude. But I like that he still looks like the character, and I think that overall, I mean, he does have that notoriety going for him. But that being said, I think what's really nice is that they actually sculpted his clothes like fabric. It's not like painted on clothing. You can actually see the fabric pull lines around his musculature there, and also in his legs. You can see the jeans are pulled in certain areas and bunched up at the end. I love that kind of detail, especially like he's got soles on his shoes, which is awesome. Again, for a $10 figure, I'm pretty impressed. Articulation-wise as well is pretty good. He's got his neck, it rotates. It doesn't really... It feels like it's got a ball joint in there, but doesn't really do anything besides just left and right. Shoulders move out. They move forward. It's a little tighter moving forward. This one moves a little bit easier. They move forward. They move back. Again, that one's a little tighter than that one. So you got some adjustment pivot there. You got a bicep swivel. Of course, the shoulder 360s. Double jointed elbow here, which pulls up. Pretty good. Wrist, it's like the Werewolf, it rotates, and then it also pivots in and out. The upper torso ball joint also gives you some room, nothing in the waist. Hips that move out, they move out pretty far. They go forward pretty far, and they go back, and then you have thigh swivel, and then a double jointed knee, like that, which is pretty cool. And then the ankle pivots forward and back, left and right. So you can get some pretty good poses out of him if you have him fighting, or if you want him beating people up, because he is from a beat 'em up. That's what they do. They beat up things. Anyways, you can get that kind of going on. And then, like I had just shown, you can do the uppercut attack of his. And they give you this cool little fire punch effect, which can be a little tricky to squeeze on. I found it doesn't go down all the way on the arm. You kind of just have to squeeze it about there. And then now you got the uppercut. So, yeah, I mean, he's pretty good. I think his notoriety is pretty awesome. But I will say he's a little bit less interesting than the Werewolf. But I do like that he can interact with his accessory as opposed to the Werewolf, who just has it because it's like a thing from the game. But the Werewolf didn't need anything else. Just like with the Werewolf, I feel like Axel's pretty good, pretty solid, pretty awesome, especially for a $10 figure. And you don't really, I'm not sitting here going, I wish he had. I think this pretty much covers it, and it's pretty awesome. All right, so here is AiAi from Super Monkey Ball, probably my favorite figure of the wave, which is funny because I don't like playing Super Monkey Ball because I'm really bad at it. But look at this happy little monkey. So AiAi here, he's pretty small. I'd say he's, probably around, I mean, he's bigger than a Sonic 2.5-inch figure. Maybe he's around that size. He's really tiny. We'll do a size comparison in a little bit. But look at him. He's adorable. He's got his little backpack. He's got like the little curl in his hair. Looks like the Dreamcast logo. He's got his little t-shirt. Articulation-wise, he does have some movement. He's got 360 swivel head. It does pivot up and down, so you can get some good range there. His torso also rotates. His arms would 360, but his giant ears kind of get in the way. The shoulders move out, and then that's pretty much it for the arms. Then the hips move forward and out, and they rotate. And then they also have this ankle that pivots forward and back and then also rotates. But I have to warn you that it kind of feels stiff and the joints are tiny. So you can kind of see how I didn't really move it back as much, but it does kind of move forward with a little bit of pressure. You can also see that there is a little bit of stress mark around the joints. I've noticed that on some of the Sonic figures, so it's not unique to him. Just something to keep in mind, keep an eye out for. You don't want to, or keep an eye out for. That was terrible. I shouldn't have backtracked for that pun. Anyways, just something to keep in mind. He does come with a banana, which of course, you collect in Super Monkey Ball. So that's pretty cool. And that's listed as his accessory, but he comes with a bunch of other stuff. He fell over, because that's what he does. So first things first, you get this little clear stand that has these 3 ball bearings attached to it, which, I mean, looks kind of crazy, but it makes sense when you get it all together. We're going to plug him onto the stand, and I'm going to have him kind of leaning forward a little bit, because as we'll see, you kind of want him leaning forward just a tad, like he is running inside the ball, because that's kind of how Super Monkey Ball goes. So you got that. What's cool about that is it kind of keeps him stable. I guess if we stand him up, he looks better, but he kind of stays stable. He can do some twirlies. He can twirl around. You can look at that. He's a breakdancing monkey now. Anyways, but the big thing, of course, is the Gashapon capsule style thing that Super Monkey Ball is known for. So you get 2 halves of it. It just goes together. There are 2 holes that kids don't suffocate. Thank you, Burger King 1999 Pokemon promotion, for realizing kids would just stick this over their mouths and then stop breathing. But anyways, now that's a safety feature. There's your toy history lesson of the day. But you pop him in here, and then now you've got your AiAi in his ball. And as you rotate the ball, you'll notice that he will try to stay standing. But what I have noticed is his hair. Because of his hair, you have to move it kind of slow, and it's kind of tricky to get over the ridge. But you can rotate him inside, but as you see, he got kind of stuck. The idea, I think, is that you're supposed to roll him, and then he stays stable. But now you can kind of see how he's got stuck in the groove. So the best method I found, which is what I was kind of trying to do, is to kind of just like, you know, bend his hips a little bit, which again, be careful because they are tiny joints, and then bend his ankles back, which I hope I'm doing well. So you kind of have him like this, so where he's like kind of crouched with his head tilted up. And I think this is what you're supposed to do, because when you put him in like this, then you can, he moves a little bit easier because he has more clearance to do so. Of course, if you like flip him over suddenly, he's not going to instantly roll into place. And now that it's like on camera, I'm having trouble doing it. Let's see if I can get this right. So if you kind of line him up, and especially because like in Monkey Ball, they kind of show the ball rotating, you can kind of have him rotate around on the inside, if that makes any sense. Like if you roll him, he's going to just kind of rebalance. I kind of like to keep him, because now he's getting stuck. He's too far over now. So this is the whole point of the demo. He can be too far over, and it throws off his counterweight. So we got to have him kind of trying to figure out the best sweet spot. I had a sweet spot for him, and then I had to take him apart to do the review. There we go. So now I think you got it. Yeah. So the idea is that he rolls, and then he stabilizes himself back up. Kind of like how BB-8 from the Star Wars lines works, where it's got like that center gravity thing. But you can kind of see as you spin it, he'll sort of stay in place. So as you roll him around, he's going to kind of rebalance himself however he wishes to rebalance himself. Sort of like the games, and why I'm not super great at them. But that's kind of the idea behind it. The only thing I would be, I don't know, mildly concerned about, and I don't even know if it'll show up on camera, but on the inside of the ball, like right there, you see that? You get some minor scratches from the ball bearings rolling around. For me, not a super big deal. If you're someone that's like, oh, it's got to be pristine, don't roll them around the inside of the ball. Don't have fun with the toy. Because if that's important to you, yeah, it can cause like little minor scuffs and scratches. Again, not a big deal to me. I'm going to roll this guy around because it's super fun. Look at him go. Look at him roll. He just hit the camera. But yeah, you can kind of just play around with it and kind of find your perfect balance of weight and stuff. And I love this. I think this is so much fun because it is Super Monkey Ball. So a chaotically rolling ball is kind of just really on brand for it. And the fact that this is also an action figure that you can take out and articulate is pretty awesome. Like, this could have been a little gimmick toy. I know there were some Sonic toys that were basically, it was early Jakks Sonic stuff where they were just like Sonic figures in a ball, and then they just spun. And everyone's like, why isn't this just a Monkey Ball line? Well, they made it, except now it's at like an action figure scale, so you can have him with your action figures. There we go. Now he's starting to roll better. It's super fun. It's super fun to see him kind of readjust himself in there and rebalance, and I think this was an absolute tremendous success, and I love that this exists, because this is what you call a fun toy that also works as a collector toy, because, yeah, of course you want AiAi in the Monkey Ball. He's part of Super Monkey Ball. All right, here's a little size comparison between the three figures, so you can kind of see the height difference. Of course, AiAi is smaller, but he came with more stuff. But you can kind of see how the Werewolf and Axel are about the same size, which is pretty nice. And of course, here's Sonic the Hedgehog from Jakks' line, so you can see the comparison here. So you can see how the Werewolf and Axel are taller, but you have AiAi, who's a lot smaller, which is appropriate, again, because of what he comes with. But there's your size comparison there. And then here's the Jakks updated Samus figure from the World of Nintendo line. So you can see that Axel and the Werewolf hit about the height of Samus. They're all about the same size. Samus was in a wave with a Link and Zelda. She was also given the double jointed elbow treatment, as well as the bicep shoulders and the double jointed knees, which is really nice. But on Samus, you can only move her ankle forward and back, so it sort of limited her movement. So I was glad to see that Axel and the Werewolf have the side to side, and maybe a future Samus could add some side to side, because that's the only thing holding her back from being like absolutely fantastic. She's pretty great, but the ankles do hold her back from some of the crouch poses. So overall, the first wave of Jakks' SEGA line is just fantastic. For the $10 a piece these go for, I am blown away. These are some of my favorite figures of the year already. It's just amazing to see what they can do at this budget point. Werewolf fell over because I kept tapping the table. I love that the Werewolf can even, balance like that. Oh, I realized I didn't click his second knee. There we go. That's kind of the trick. I love the extended Sega universe. You know, I love that there are other things besides Sonic in Sega. We're gonna balance Mr. Werewolf just so he doesn't fall over while I'm talking. I love the other Sega franchises. I think that it's fantastic. There's a line for them. I hope it gets to continue. I know the designers and the people who worked on these have said, you know, if these sell well, we'll be able to do more, which I think is great because look at them. They're fantastic. I hope these do well. Like I said, they're currently exclusive to Walmart in the U.S. I'm not sure about availability outside of that. But if you're in the U.S. and you want to support a Sega line, I'd recommend picking them up because, you know, they're great. Even if you aren't like a big Altered Beast, Super Monkey Ball, or Streets of Rage fan, these are still great figures, and I do highly recommend them for that because they're just really fun, they're really neat, and they're pretty good. I mean, the articulation on these two guys are like better than some Marvel Legends I own, and that's pretty impressive. I hope we do get to see more. I'm really gearing up. Like, you know, I have like a wish list internally. My biggest one is Amigo from Samba de Amigo. The guy from Jet Set Radio would be cool. I'm sure they will come up with a lot of cool ideas. The dude from Comic Zone would be a great, like, random pull as well. I guess that's my wish list. But there is a lot to this, and I hope that Jakks continues this line because this first wave is so good. I hope they get to do more. So on that note, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, please hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. Those two things help the channel immensely. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, leave them in the comments down below. Would appreciate your feedback. I'd really like to hear what you have to say about this wave or your future predictions / hopes for the line. You can also check out our live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern on this YouTube channel. We talk about these figures, the Jakks figures, when they get announced, so be sure to check out those streams. You can also check out our Discord server in the link below. We have a group of collectors there and a lot of different subgroups in it, so you can come join, hang out, join the chat. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, you can join as a channel member for perks like early access to videos or member-exclusive live streams, depending on the tier. But let's give a special shout out to some of our channel members. Special shout out to our channel members, including our captain tiers, Infinity Wartorn, Spin-54, Super Shaddix Boom, Toma K, Jamie's World, SSJ4 Jason, Psycho O's, Master Bin 95, Sentai Ranger Donnie, Ramon Gray, Muhammad Faiz Daniel, Sutargo's the Kaiju from Krypton. Thank you all for your support. You can also find me on social media at Soundout12 across most platforms, though I will say I'm more active on our Discord. You can also find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. You can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for news, interviews, reviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, SEGA!